I said something that he didn't like. He reacted in a way that I didn't like. Then we ended up fighting, and he hit me, so I hit him back. I had to leave the agency apartment, left that. Then I just went on about my business, and he done the same. Then I got on the TV show, and 5 days after it aired, he pressed charges on me. And because I used to box, they charged me for a deadly weapon. And because if you read it, it says Rob Evans hospitalized someone with a deadly weapon. The deadly weapon was my fist, and he had to go to the hospital and get butterfly stitches.
You're watching On The Edge with me, Zach Garner-Perkis, investigations editor at The Express. I'm here with Rob Evans, former model, judge on America's Next Top Model, and ex-amateur boxing champion. Is that good?
Yeah,
you like
cool.
that?
Yeah, I like that one.
So normally we kick things off by going right back to the beginning, but I kind of thought maybe you got something quite exciting going on. So if you just talk about what you've got at the moment with the fighting.
Yeah. All right. So I've basically just recently gone back to boxing. I'm fighting on June 15th. It's for the WBU International Heavyweight Championship. So even though I haven't been boxing for a while, I feel like I work better sometimes when I'm thrown straight into something at the deep end. So the fact that it's my first fight back, but it's for a title at the same time, it's motivating me. And also trying to get onto the whole influencer boxing. So Chase the Moore, Temper Arts, I've already hit them up. They said they were going to fight me. I'm here waiting. So if you're ready for a fight, you're ready for a challenge, you know where it's at. They ain't going to take it though. I guarantee you they won't take it. I've even done a face-off with Chase the Moore because he said he would take it. Then when I tagged him, they didn't want it. Same with Tempo Arts. I took his belt and took a picture with it. So he needs to come back with something, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see. Watch this space, right?
Yeah, hopefully they take it, but we'll see.
All right. All right. So start off from where you were born in
Belfast. Yeah, born in Belfast, Ireland. I moved to Leeds when I was 8. Then from Leeds moved to Oxford. Then from Oxford to a small town, Banbury. Mm-hmm. Then I moved to London when I was 22. I think I've been here since then. So 14 years I've been here.
And were you always boxing that time, or when did you?
No, I didn't start. I started boxing at 18. I started pretty late. I always liked sport when I was younger. That's mainly the thing I was good at. Do you know what I mean? There was other things I wasn't that good at, but when it comes to sport, that was really my thing. And when you leave school, like you just kind of lose that. Do you know what I mean? So like maybe at 18, you know, when everyone goes to the gym, they want to get jacked, they want to do all that. I went through that stage, but I didn't have a bank account back then, and the boxing gym was the only place that you could go, pay as you go. So I didn't actually go up there to be a boxer. I just went up there to get in shape, get fitter, and just like any kid at that age, you think you can fight until you go to a boxing gym and you realise you can't fight. So that's what kind of motivated me to stay. I got into a spar and just got pummeled from one post to the other, literally. So it humbled me quick, and I don't know, I've always had it in my life since then. Yeah. Whenever anything's going wrong in my life, I always go back to boxing. Even if I'm not competing, it's like my therapy, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Everyone has their own little vice, that's mine.
Quite a lot of fighters are like that. Is what, a safe space, or just like a place where you kind of like...
Yeah, I just feel like I've never really like thought about it until I'm asked, but I don't know, it's just something about boxing you can't get from any different workout, do you know what I mean? It shows you a lot about your character. Like I said, anything that you've got inside that you need to get out, there's no better way than just beating the out of a bag if you can, do you know what I mean? A spar, or it's good to have that discipline in your life. It's good to, I don't know, like most people have a hard time being told what to do, but there's something about a boxing coach that they just demand respect from the get-go, I think. So it's always good to have that kind of figure in your life. It's good to have a goal in your life. Because like I said, if you're not fit or you're not ready, as soon as you get in the ring, you'll last 1 round or 2 rounds, then you're done. So just to have that motivation in your head to get up, go running, train, stay somewhat disciplined, that brings that all back into my life when nothing's going the way I want it to. Do you know what I mean? Like, even though I don't compete anymore, I just feel like anytime things are going a little bit wrong, to get myself back on a straight path, always go to a boxing gym. It's always been like that.
Was there a point that you realised, yeah, I'm actually quite good at this?
Yeah, I'd say, like, egotistically, like, the first day I ever went, I thought, like, I could do this. Even though I got beat up, it was more, I was fast, I was quite powerful because I was a cruiserweight back then, even though I was younger. But it's mainly after my first fight. Like, my first fight, I was only boxing for maybe 3 months. Like, I wanted it bad to where the trainer said, if you show up every single day, we'll put you into a fight in our next home show. Done it, and as soon as you come out, you have the whole of your hometown. It was Banbury, like the whole of Banbury in a little sports hall cheering your name. Well, it was not so much your name, but your club. And I don't know, I just remember that feeling, and it just hyped me up. And I won my fight in, I think it was like 40 seconds. Like, I knocked him out, like, it was quick. It put a lot of pressure on me because after that fight, everyone was buying tickets to see me. So every time I fought, I just had that kind of, I had to perform. But other than that, I would say after my first fight, that's when I really thought, like, if I stick at this, I can take it somewhere, for sure.
And when did, so, like, you into your boxing, when does the modelling thing happen? Like, how does that come about?
So I was boxing, and my gym was an old school gym. It was an old, it was a barn conversion. So it's like, it was a good place for photographers to want to take pictures. So I had someone hit me up on Facebook being like, I'd love to shoot you all this. And I put it off for a long time, like maybe a year or so, because I had the stereotype of a model. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you're boxing, you're thinking, I want to stay as far away from that as I can. Then, like, tragically, my trainer passed suddenly as well, like maybe on a Friday, I think. He said, I'll see you Monday. And within that weekend, he had passed. The gym, everyone just kind of fell off because, like I said, you need that kind of mentor when you're that young. As soon as they're gone, everyone just kind of scatters and does their own thing. So boxing just kind of took a little, it just wasn't going the way I wanted it to. He said, I'll shoot you. And I basically wanted to go there to show off my medals and boxing and all that. I said I'll do a boxing photo shoot. Done it. Didn't know too much about like what he was going to do with it. I just wanted to see my pictures as a boxer. Then he called me back saying there's a fashion house called Givenchy that want you to walk in Paris. And at the time, I didn't know what Givenchy was. I knew Nike I knew Nike and Adidas. That was about it. But yeah, so in my head, all I heard was Paris. I'd never traveled before. Yeah. So I agreed to it, and I didn't have a passport at the time. So I was only allowed in Paris for 24 hours. Riccardo Teschi, the fashion designer, they wanted me to the point where he spoke to the customs and they give me a letter, 24-hour letter. If I go there with my birth certificate to go in just to do the show, then come back the next day. And because they had nothing made for me, because they couldn't do a fitting or anything, they basically just put me out in a pair of leopard skin shorts and a necklace. And I walked. And like I said, all the models back then were just skinny and maybe like 6'1", 6'2". And when I come out, again, I didn't know like what was going on at the time. I come out, no one knew my name. I was Look 26. That's all I was known as. Yeah. So yeah, I do that, come back. Then again, the next day, he hits me up being like, America wants you to come over to New York to do Fashion Week. Would you be up for it? Get yourself a passport. And it all just went like so fast to where I wasn't really.
How old
it's not that I wasn't ready.
22. So you go over to Paris and then it like.
Go over to Paris. When you have international models, they do London, Paris, New York and Milan. Yeah. So you do a week in each, and the international models, you kind of see them on each show. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, there's a handful of them, so you'll see the same people in different shows. And like I was brand new to it, so no one like had seen me before. No one knew who I was. And like I said, no one even knew my name. I was just looked. Even when I got to America, the first thing they said is, you're that Look 26 from Givenchy. And I was just like, it blew up without me realizing how big of a deal it was. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And the whole getting to Paris without a passport hadn't been done before.
So wait, just so I understand, it was like the designer pulled some strings
Yeah,
to get you
Riccardo
even into the
Teschi, he was the fashion house designer at the time. And yeah, they were that powerful that they spoke to costumes and was able to get me there for 24 hours.
How would the guy that wanted to take the pictures of you, how had he seen you at the box?
Facebook.
He just seen you on Facebook, and then it just was like, I have to
How
get
do I want to shoot you? Yeah. So I was like, I remember seeing some of his pictures and thinking, there's no way that I'm shooting that. So I had to tell him that his name was Aaron Dunworth. I'll give him a little shout out, man, because it was years ago. But he showed me some of the pictures, and like I said, when you're a boxer, you don't really want to be in that fashion kind of, you don't want to be seen as a fashion model. So I said to him, I'll let you shoot me if we do some boxing photos. And he done them. Then it just kind of blew up. Like I said, I wasn't really expecting it, to be honest. It took me until I kind of lost everything to actually realize some of the things that I had done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because at the time I feel like I was living in the moment a little bit and just enjoying it while it was there, but not really knowing what I was doing, if that makes sense.
So when you go to, was that Fashion Week or was it just a
Fashion
show?
Week, yeah.
Okay, so you're brought into like one of the biggest events in the world.
Exclusively as well. So it's like, when you do an exclusive show, you're only booked for that one specific fashion house. And if your class is exclusive, for the fashion industry, it's like whoever is doing something big at the time, everyone kind of wants them. So if you do one big campaign, another campaign will be like, I want him to do ours and ours. It's not like they're trying to search about for a new model. It's just like if someone like Givenchy says that you're all right, I guess everybody else wants you. Do you know what I mean?
But you must have been like, who is this guy? You've just come out of nowhere and all of a sudden you're at the biggest event in the world of fashion.
In the world of fashion, this is what I'm saying. But the thing that was good about it for me, I guess, is I didn't know what Givenchy was. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I get there. I remember going to the fashion house and just thinking, it's like a mansion. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, they didn't have anything to fit me because I didn't do a fitting because I couldn't go there. So like I got there maybe 5 hours before the show, put me in a pair of shorts, and that's the thing that kind of done it for me, I guess. You know what I mean? I was the only one topless there. Walked from here to there and back, got paid for it, got to travel, and it's like I'd been punching a bag for about 4 years, you know what I mean? And within the space of a runway from here to there, I kind of made more money than I'd made in my whole boxing career and got to travel. So wow. It's not like I just stopped boxing for the sake of it, you know what I mean? It was kind of, yeah, literally. And because that was my first show, everything kind of just went crazy from there, to the point where, again, I didn't realize how lucky I was until I lost everything. Then I thought, like, I was real lucky. I just thought that's how you live as a model. Do you know what I mean? I didn't actually realize that sometimes there's about 3-4 years of you grafting away before you get something like that. I got lucky, like the timing was good, I guess. How
did the other people react to you? Because I guess like you not knowing about it, I guess from what you're saying, it kind of helped because you didn't have any fear. You weren't like, oh my God.
Yeah, there was no pressure on me. If anything, I just thought, what's wrong with these people, man? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess like anything, there was, to be honest with you, I don't really know how people reacted. I wasn't really focused on anything other than I was just enjoying it while it was happening. And the people that I was working with, I guess they'd been in the industry for years, and because they're doing the same thing I'm doing, there wasn't really much jealousy in that sense. Do you know what I mean?
Were you like taken into like the after party and all of a sudden it's like people drinking champagne and all of that stuff of like how you would imagine it to be?
Yeah, it was crazy. Some of the after parties that I'd been to, it's like, you know, like the scenes you see on TV where it's like you get a lock in and just girls everywhere, like you said, champagne everywhere. You can see why people fall off the rails in that industry. You know, like before you know anything about that world, if you see someone lose everything, it's so easy to be like, you had an opportunity, how did you mess it up? But when you're actually put into that world, if you don't have the right kind of people around you, your head's not on straight, like it's so easy to go off rails.
And why is that? Is that because there's so many like temptations that...
So much temptation, everything's free.
Right.
So it's like, you go to the best, it's like being a celebrity, but without the fame, if that makes sense. So you're still in all the same spots as celebrities, you're still getting treated like, I don't know, like Everything's for free. Clubs will invite you. Promoters will want you to sit at their table. Drinks are free. There's drugs if you want it. It's like, this sounds real shallow, but because everyone's models and you are like abroad somewhere just partying, having fun, everyone's just kind of, it's just a lot of fun, do you know what I mean?
Well, you get a buzz around you. If there's a load of models walking to a bar, then you're going to get
Yeah, like
attention,
everyone's, yeah. Everyone's just kind of, and everyone's young as well. So you're young, you've just done a big show, and there's a lot of temptation around, do you know what I mean? You can see why people go off the rails, to be honest.
And so you just end up on the modelling circuit, from what you're saying, New York, Milan, and it's the high end, right? This is like the best of the best that you've got.
Yeah, my first shoot with a female was Naomi Campbell.
Wow.
And again, it was like, it's not that I didn't realise how lucky I was. Well, it was that, I just didn't
young,
realise.
innit?
Yeah, it was just like, yo, you're shooting with Naomi Campbell, and it's like, that's sick. Like, just carried on punching the bags, you know what I mean? I didn't really know how to act because I didn't start off to be a model. I didn't realize the stepping stones in the modeling world, you know what I mean? Like, some people who get into that fashion industry, they know every fashion house, they know every magazine they're shooting for, every photographer. I managed to work with every top model and every top photographer and editorials, magazines and that, without really knowing who they were. Do you know what I mean? So it was kind of, there was never any pressure on me in that sense. It was more the agency would get excited. They'd be like, you're shooting with Stephen Meisel tomorrow. And it's like, all right, cool. Again, do you know what I mean? If it would have been the boxing world, I would have knew everything. Do you know what I mean? It was just like being plucked from the boxing into a completely different world that I knew nothing about. I wish I knew a little bit more looking back now, but at the same time, I think that's what was humbling about it. It never went to my head too much because I didn't actually realise what I was doing.
I think that it's quite typical though, like with the British models, because I think, well, Kate Moss, she got discovered in like an airport or something. Naomi Campbell was like working in a shop, right? So it's like, I guess it's not uncommon for people to have that path where you just suddenly discovered.
Yeah, it's like, and to be honest with you, a lot of people that are in the fashion industry, it's the people that just get street castings. So like you just said, they'll get like spotted somewhere randomly at a festival or walking down Oxford Street or something. It's like, it keeps you humble because you're not trying to get into that world. Do you know what I mean? So when you are plucked up, I'll just say enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that live for it, and they're the kind of ones that I don't know. I feel like it's just a bit more humbling experience if you just get plucked up and thrown into it. It's a lot of fun. Every stereotype that I had of it was the complete opposite when I actually got into it.
What are some of the examples?
I just thought everyone was soft and everyone was a pretty boy and everyone was just like very shallow. Like I'm saying, if you hear the word model, you just think it's a bunch of people that don't eat and care about looks and just take drugs and that. So I didn't know any different, so I just thought that's what it was. And when I first went to, when I'd done the Givenchy show, I was backstage and then a load of American boys were in there from like Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan. This was before it was big, you know, when Kanye and Jay-Z made it big with that's another thing as well. I'm going off track a little bit, but you know the Game of Thrones cover? If you look in that, there's a picture of Kanye and Jay-Z doing this, it's like a growling face. They're half them, half Rottweiler. I was the one who done that about a year before it even dropped, you know, the collection. So all that Rottweiler top, all the kilts that they made popular, they made it popular because they're pop culture, but like I'd done all that already, do you know what I mean, before it was cool. So it's like most of the people that he was hiring for his show were like people that you'd see on a basketball court or a boxing gym. That's kind of, I think, why he booked me, do you know what I mean? 'Cause it's a little bit different because no one else after that was really messing with me because of my size. Like I couldn't fit anything.
Oh really? What, because you're too bulky?
I was too bulky, yeah, and too tall. Basically everything a model shouldn't be.
Really?
So like it kind of works.
Because people always think models are supposed to be tall, but you can be too tall.
Yeah, tall is like 6'1", 6'2",
really?
do you know what I mean? Yeah, because it's like, you think they have to be really tall. It's mainly the women that are tall. They're 5'11", do you know what I mean? But as far as a male, you just gotta like use the analogy of if you're tall, like how many things can you get off a high street? Do you know what I mean? It's hard to fit into. And with the fashion industry, they do everything in sample sizes. So it's like, unless you're a sample size, which is literally about that, then you're not really fitting anything. I remember, I think a sample size is like a 43-inch chest or something like that.
Oh, really?
I was that when I was about 14,
So
I
you were
think,
just
15.
bursting out.
Yeah, to where most of my stuff was topless. That's why I kind of feel like it went for a minute, then just,
Right.
it wasn't original anymore, do you know what I mean? I couldn't fit anything. So like, it lasted for a hot minute, but then started dying down, I guess. I blew it, like you can kind of come off it as fast as you blow up.
On the flip side of it, right? So you were green when you went, or like that would be fair to say.
Yeah.
Do you think that like you were like being given like, I don't know, were you being paid fairly for like what you were doing at that time?
Yeah, I would say, but the thing that, like, with them, because I went straight from that fashion show in Paris. I got asked, did I want to go to New York? Yeah, and I didn't have a passport at the time, so I sent away for a passport. It took like 3 weeks until I got my passport through. And I hit them up maybe on a Monday saying my passport's here, and they're like, can you be on a flight on Wednesday? So it all happened quick. Went over there for their fashion week, done a lot of shows during their fashion week in New York. Then after that, they sent me to Milan, to Paris, and I'm getting like blacked out cars pick me up from the airport. Then you go land at the other airport and you got your sign, Rob Evans, all this, like hotels, everything was sweet. But I didn't realize that they were advancing me at all. Like no one explained that to me. So it's like by the time I actually got my visa, which was about 6 months later, 7 months later, everything that I had accumulated up without really knowing it, as soon as I got my first big job, it was for like 50,000, I think, for a Calvin Klein campaign. And I think I saw about £3,000 of it because they had taken it all back. And it's like, because it blew up so fast, no one explained to me that's how it happened. So it's just like, I was getting paid fairly, but the agency wasn't actually telling me that most of the things that I'm getting paid right now are advancements.
So just so I've got this right, when you're getting the blacked out car, is that coming out your fee?
That's coming out of your fee,
Right,
yeah.
but
But you don't know that. I just thought that's how you live as a model. Like, I just thought my life is crazy right now. Everything's changed. I went from hitting a bag to being flown all around the world, you know what I mean? Staying at the nicest hotels, getting cars, getting picked up, like getting everything advanced for me. And you live on a per diem as well. So it's like each month the agency would give me X amount of money. And like I just said, I thought everything was good, and everything was good. It's just no one explained to me that as soon as I get my first big job, the agency are going to take that money back. Then they kind of drip feed at you until you get your next job. That's how you kind of stay like stuck to a contract, basically.
Right. So I guess it's just kind of like a normal job then at that, like to some extent, really, even though obviously you're living a lifestyle which is not typical.
You're living a crazy lifestyle, but it is like a normal job, if I'm honest. To the point where I don't see how some people do it unless they're like kind of killing it. Do you know what I mean? Because there's just a lot of, I guess it's like being an actor. You're doing loads of auditions, but unless you get one job, which is rare, like you're just accumulating, building up money. Do you know what I mean? If you're signed to an agency, they'll help you out because they believe you have potential, but they're the ones advancing you it all. So it's just like, as soon as you do get that job, they take it all back, then you'll be in debt with the agency. So you'll get another job, pay off your debt, and they'll take the money that they've advanced you again. To where I just, like I said, I was young. It happened real quick to where I just didn't really know the ins and outs of it. Do you know what I mean? I was just enjoying it while it lasted, but
Well, I guess it must have been enjoyable. It was like, if you especially early 20s.
My whole life changed. Like, I'd never traveled before. Do you know what I mean? I'd never, like, from Ireland to England, that was on a boat. Do you know what I mean? But other than that, I'd never been on a plane before. So it's like, to go from never traveling to traveling the whole world within the space of like a year and just getting all this attention that I'd never had before, it was like, my whole life changed completely, to be honest.
Were you still a boxer in your head?
In my head, yeah. That's the only thing that kept me disciplined, to be honest. Because maybe for about a year and a half, I was going to all these fashion parties, but I wasn't sipping a drink. I wasn't staying out late. I was still training. The first thing I did when I went to New York was look up Gleason's boxing gym and just got a membership there and just focused on that. The agency would tell me to lose weight and all this, but I would just agree with them, then straight to the boxing gym. Do you know what I mean?
I guess you couldn't be having any cuts on the face. Or
Yeah, they didn't. In my head, I just saw it as it'll run out soon. Do you know what I mean? Which is quite destructive to think like that. But in my head, I was just thinking, what are these people doing? Do you know what I mean? To be plucked up straight away, like you said, to be thrown into that world, I was just like, it'd be cool for a minute, but then it has to come back down. Do you know what I mean? So I always had that kind of in my head. So when they said don't do this or don't do this, I didn't really take too well to authority back then either. I was young, do you know what I mean? And in my head, like you said, I was still a boxer. So anyone in fashion trying to tell me what to do, I wasn't going to have it, to be honest. And there were so many, like when I first went there, I remember there's a lot of like male models that'd be like, oh, you're jacked, you could have been an NFL player, I used to play, blah, blah, but the agency made me lose weight, the agency made me do this. And I was just thinking they didn't have to, you know what I mean? You didn't have to lose weight, you didn't have to do this. They tried to make me do a few things that in my head I just wasn't gonna do. I wasn't gonna lose weight. They tried to send me to like a salon that they've got a deal with to get my hair cut. I was just thinking, I'll just go to a barber shop who knows how to cut my hair. You wouldn't send one of your guys to a barber shop, you send them to a salon. So those little things like that I just didn't like. So it's like when they tried to set things up for me, unless I was with it, like I kind of rebelled a little bit against it.
I guess that's a bit different to what a lot of people would have reacted to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because that's what I feel like. I probably would have lasted a little bit longer if I would have listened a bit more, but I didn't want to lose sight of myself either. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
Well, it also probably gave you your edge as well of like, this guy's different and then he doesn't look like everybody else and do what they do.
And that was the blessing in the end, I guess, because after the Givenchy show, I was in New York for the whole 3 months. You get a holiday visa. So for the whole 3 months I was there, I couldn't really work that much because I couldn't fit anything. Then right at the last minute, maybe a week before I went, I got booked for the Calvin Klein campaign. And that was purely because of the fact that I was a boxer and bigger. It was a street casting. They had dancers on there. They had skateboarders on there. They had a footballer on there and a boxer, Rhea Ora and Cassie, the singers. It was more based on talent than it was the way you look. And I would always think to myself, like, if I would have lost weight like they said, then I would never have got that job. Then I went back to London. That's what ended up getting me my visa, that job. So I went back to London, got my visa, went back out there. And that's when the agency are just like, Rob, you're this, you know, like telling me to lose weight to all of a sudden asking me to make workout videos and content and all that. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can see straight away how people changed. Do you know what I mean? Like in front of my face. I went from being too big and no one's going to work with me to asking, can I train some of the other models and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah. You kind of saw it from the get-go how quick it changed.
With it, like the Calvin Klein, like that's a massive... Did you catch yourself? Because you must have had like billboards up in like big places and stuff.
See, do you know what's mad? See, when I first went to New York, one of the first things I did was go to Times Square.
Yeah.
Because I'd always seen it on TV. You know, like if you're anywhere in Europe, I guess, like America influenced the whole world. Before social media anyway. Now social media is about, you kind of see how crazy it is over there. But before that, it was just all films and music. So when you would see places like Times Square, you're just like, I'd like to visit there one day. So I went there and just took a picture and just looked at all the screens and that and just thought, this is amazing, I'm here, I can't believe I'm there. Then when, at the end of the 3 months while I was there, I went back there, looked up, and my whole billboard was there of Calvin Klein, just me there in a pair of Calvin Klein shadow boxing. Do you know what I mean? And It was mad, it was a weird feeling.
What do you think when you see yourself like that? What's that like for as a person?
It was, to be honest with you, I think, looking back now, I think there was just something wrong with me in a sense of, like, I was, like, a bit self-destructive in the way I was thinking, because even though I was proud of it, I always wanted to get there as a boxer. So, like, to me, it was like, I was look up and I just think, that's amazing, but at the same time, I was thinking, I didn't really do anything to get that, if that makes sense, other than show up to a casting. When you go to a cast, you basically look at the camera, go profile, then they decide whether they want you or not. So like, I wanted to be on there because I was a world champion or because I'd worked my ass off to get there. So to get it like that, it was a weird situation. It was like there was a part of me that was proud because I couldn't believe I'd done something like that. But there was also a part of me that was just thinking, that's not the way you had in your head that you were supposed to get it, if that makes sense. So I couldn't enjoy it as much as I did it. Like, I can't lie, it was an amazing feeling, but I was always fighting in my head that I shouldn't be getting it this way. I should be getting it because I'm a champion boxer. Do you know what I mean? I always had that. Well, looking back now, I wish I would have just let go of that. Just thought, you got a billboard, like, cheer up, man. Do you know what I mean?
It might have been healthier though that you did.
It was.
If you let it get to your head and you were like, I'm the guy now, look at me, you know.
Yeah. That's why I feel like boxing was always good for me, because that just, like I said, it shows you a lot about your character and it humbles you. So even though, looking back now, I wish that I could have let that go a little bit sooner. It was so hard to let go of boxing, to where, like you said, it kept me humble. Every time I got these magazines and stuff like that, I'd be happy because I'm working and I'm being successful, but I'd always think I wanted to be in boxing news more than I wanted to be in Vogue or ID magazines, you know what I mean? But, which is a crazy way to think now, but like I said, I was 22, man, so it is what it is.
I don't know, man. It's interesting because from what you're saying, like a lot of the things that you weren't playing it by their rules, but if anything, that's who you were. Like you were being true
to myself. To, like I said, I might have got a reputation to be hard to work with purely because there was, I don't know what it was, but there was some times where it just felt like all they wanted to do is get the most masculine man in the most like kind of feminine stuff. Right. Do you know what I mean? I'll show up to some shoots and they'll be like, this is your outfit. And I'm like, I'm not wearing that. Do you know what I mean? I just didn't want to do anything that wasn't true to myself. To where, and you don't get paid for editorials either. You know what I mean? You do them, build up your CV and that. And it wasn't like I was trying to be hard to work with on purpose, but I feel like a lot of the things that models don't understand in that industry is you can say no. You know what I mean? You're the talent technically, to where, because you'll get a lot of models and they'll do something and they'll regret it for so long. It's just like, you could have just said no.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that because you're thrown into that world. It's like I'm saying, when you go into big fashion houses and stuff like that, it's, I don't know, I guess you just don't know how to say no. And it's not so much the big fashion houses, they work with you a little bit. It's more the people up and coming when you're doing your test shoots. Do you know what I mean? You just go into random locations to do a test shoot. Just seemed at the beginning, there was a lot of people that just seemed to want to get a boxer in just the most...
Like a power thing.
Yeah, it just seemed weird. Yeah, it was like a fantasy of theirs, I guess, of... He's a 6'4" boxer. Here's a Speedo, go wear it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, go away from me, man. Like, what's wrong with you? I'm not doing that. Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't all about like, oh, look at me, I want you to be masculine. It's more just like, if I don't feel comfortable wearing it, I'm not going to wear it. Yeah. Like I said, I feel like a lot of people lose themselves in a sense to where they just don't really know how to say no. I've had friends that, they've got some crazy photo shoots, do you know what I mean? It's like, it never done anything for them. It didn't help them, did not help them. But now it's on the internet forever, do you know what I mean? It's like, you didn't need to do that if you didn't want to do it.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot. I mean, because you hear a lot more about it from like female models, because obviously, like, there's that sleazy edge to the industry as well. But like, lots of them, they say they regret tons of stuff, and they don't even own the images.
You can't do nothing with it. It's just like, it's there now. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes, like I'm saying, unless it's for a big fashion house or like a real well-respected photographer, it's not ever really going to do anything for you. Like you said, a lot of sleazy people who just got into the industry, like, you go into their house sometimes for a test shoot, do you know what I mean? And it's like abusing a position of power, do you know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, there's a lot of models, they start young. There's models that are like 15, 16, and some of the boys that go in there are like 17, do you know what I mean? 16, 17, 18, to where you're still a kid. So if you go into doing a test shoot, like, and you might not want to wear something, I don't know, it feels like, I didn't get it as bad, I feel, because I was a boxer, do you know what I mean? I was 22 by the time I got in there. But I just knew a lot of stories that I used to hear and just think, why didn't you just say no? Do you know what I mean? Nothing like crazy bad, but just more like coming back and being like, I can't believe I wore this, or I can't believe you made me do this, or you was just acting weird, or this happened. I was just thinking, like, what's wrong with you? I was thinking more like, what the is wrong with you? But now I'm a little bit older, looking back, it's like, when you're that age, it's you're kind of vulnerable to the point where you can be exploited without even realizing it.
It sounds like you didn't see the full dark side of like some of
I
the
didn't.
industry.
Like I said, I feel like I was lucky in the sense to where a lot of agencies, they'll scout people who are like 15, 16. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, when you go into a person's house, like a photographer's house, and you're that young, I guess you can just be like asked to do
taking your
certain
clothes
things.
off and
Yeah,
stuff as
you're
well.
basically half naked. And like I said, I feel, even though I was still young, I was 22, I felt like I was old enough to actually just like, I never got any weird stuff happen. I didn't see that side of it. I just heard about it a lot. Like I said, you get into the agency give you a model apartment. It's called an agency house. So like when you're in that country, they just throw everybody into that house, and you'd hear some of the stories there. They'll do a test shoot with this guy, and they'd come back and he's like, yo, he said to do this or made me do this. And I was just like, I would listen to it all, and you kind of laugh at it. But looking back now, it's just like, it's a bit messed up. Do you know what I mean? At the time, you laugh and just like, what are you doing, you idiot? Why did you do that? And they would laugh it off. But like, looking back now, I was thinking, it's just all a bit mad. Do you know what I mean? There's parts of it that I don't really miss. I just miss the traveling. I miss the stuff that comes with modeling, more than the actual modeling itself.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Did you find it easy? Because not everyone can just like stand in front of a camera and pull the face or whatever, or just be relaxed in that environment.
I found it easy because I didn't really do a lot, to be honest. It was like, I look back at some of my photos and it's just the same look. It's just like staring directly at the camera. So as far as like being diverse with it, like some people they give you a mood board and they're like, we want you to be more like this, like this, like this. And it's like, mine was always just a bit more, it's like I took myself a bit serious sometimes. I never let go in that sense to where I was just busting all kinds of shapes. So I found it easy in the sense to where all my shoots were kind of the same. It's just like stare at the camera and look a bit mean. Do you know what I mean? Because you box. So it's more, I found it easy in that sense. I also found when you're doing runways and stuff, because I'd walked out so many times to a boxing ring, I was thinking, if I can do that, then I'm sure I can walk up and down a runway. Do you know what I mean? So like I don't know, I didn't take myself too serious in the sense where I had a bit of fun with it. It was more, so I never put pressure on myself to make it hard, because modeling's not that hard when you really think about it. Like anybody can do it. It's just the difference is some people look better on camera than certain others, or some people fit clothes better than certain others. But as far as actually modeling itself, it's not really that hard, to be honest. I feel like anyone can get their picture took.
The whole America's Next Top Model, like, how did it come about?
So I was in Brazil at the time. I was doing a campaign in Brazil, and I was supposed to be there for 3 weeks, and I was there for a week and a half, I think. And my agency sent me an email saying America's Next Top Model wanted to know if you'd be a judge on their show. And at the time, I was just thinking, for sure, I would do that. So I text back saying, yeah, I'll do it. And there's like, they got a Skype session. We got a Skype session tomorrow at X, whatever time it was. And I took the Skype session. Like, they introduced me to the whole team and that. Had like a little interview with them. Then like an hour later, I got a text back saying, can you, they've offered you the job. You start like in a week. So like I spent the rest of the time in Brazil, then flew from Brazil to New York to sign the contract, then from New York to LA, then straight from LA airport to the set. It wasn't for the first take, it was for the trial take. And just sat on a chair just being like, right, action, do you know what I mean? I was thinking, someone needs to explain to these. Like, I'd never done TV work before.
Really?
So that's another thing that just kind of just went.
Had you worked with Tyra Banks before or not?
First time meeting her. So as soon as, and it was weird because like when you see the top model set, it's like there's the chairs, then you have the models in front of you, and all you see is like this little studio, but it's in a warehouse, and that's that studio, but it's in the corner. There's about 150 people, like all the camera people, the people doing the social media, just the crew basically. So I'm just there, and they're just like action, and I had to judge all these photos and that, and I was just thinking, what am I doing here? Do you know what I mean?
So you'd never done any TV?
Never
like
done
that,
any
where you had to
TV
speak
work.
and
Yeah.
everything? Wow.
So at first, and they kept telling me like, speak proper English so they can understand it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, like just pronounce your words properly instead of saying proper. You'd have to say like proper and basically sound more English than you do right now. So
What, so they wanted you
like
to
that.
play up the English accent a bit as well, right?
Because
So-
the Americans love it. Not like to where it's not you. Basically, just pronounce your words properly. You know, like you speak in slang a little bit when you're young. So yeah, I couldn't do any of that. So little things like that. And it wasn't until maybe the end of the first season that I actually started getting the hang of it. Do you know what I mean? But the first couple of episodes, it was, I don't know, it's just weird to me because I'd never done TV work before. So to speak, having Tyra next to you and all that lot. Because I'd seen that TV show before when I was young.
Yeah.
So
It was massive.
yeah, so to be sat there, part of it, it was a bit, like I said, there's a lot of surreal moments to where it's just, you gotta enjoy it. But half of the time I was thinking, what the am I doing here, man?
Where am I? I was in Brazil not that long ago.
Yeah.
When it like, because reality TV, like, obviously it's still around, but like, what was it like? You know, you hear these crazy stories about producers like trying to stir stuff up. What was it like to be in the middle of that?
Some of it was a bit, because like I said, I'd never done TV before, so like I didn't know the ins and outs of it. And like reality TV, they want stuff that makes the best TV. So like when it comes to the girls' model house, they all have a budget like of food like they're gonna eat, and they get a shopping budget, but it's almost like ration their food to the point where you know it's gonna send someone a bit crazy. They didn't have any concept of time. They don't have their mobile phones, and they have like a casting director that is like a personality specialist. So they're matching all these different personalities. I feel like they kind of know who's gonna clash, who's gonna be good, who's gonna be a little bit shy in a way, like to make everyone clash in that sense. And because everyone's got a backstory, like an emotional backstory that goes there, because it's about changing someone's life. I remember like one of the crew saying like, if one of the girls cries, don't do anything to make her feel better because it makes great TV. Action. And I'm just like, you lot are mad.
What, they
like,
said that to you before the
before
the
yeah,
show?
to like, yeah, it's because when they first come on and they introduce themselves, like I said, they're coming from a hard background. That's what made them make the cut. But it's almost like they want you to get the story out also. So if they're crying, basically don't feel sorry for them. Don't do what your natural reaction would be and just like try to comfort them maybe or feel sorry for them. Basically just let them cry because it makes good TV.
Did you have to hold yourself back or like what?
No, because it was never really that bad. It was just more like, yeah, it was never bad, to be honest. It's just there was certain things that I just didn't understand about reality TV to where, like I said, it wasn't there. They weren't saying it in a horrible way. They were just being like, this is what makes good TV. This is what grabs people into someone's story. You can't just like comfort them straight away like you would naturally do.
What were some of the other things that you did?
I think it was just more the how you have no concept of time and the food rationing to where certain things are set up to make you like kind of go a bit mad.
So in terms of the format, like these were the girls that then they'd come in and you'd judge them, but they were sort of just on a bit like their headspace was a bit altered.
Yeah, after like living in a house for the first week or so, and like I said, not really having any contact with the outside world. And it's a lot of, you go straight from the house to the studio, then from the studio back to the house. It'd send anyone a little bit crazy. So you see their personality slightly change the more you got to know them. And in all fairness, I was lucky in the sense all I was doing was the panel. So I'd only go there like twice a week. The rest was shooting the actual reality stuff, them in the house, them on location. I was basically rocking up there 2 days a week for 2 hours at most, you know what I mean? So I didn't know the complete ins and outs of it. I could just see slightly their personalities changing throughout it, like it would anyone, I guess.
Did you have to play a role on the panel? Because they often talk about how like they want someone that's nice and someone that's mean.
No, in all fairness, like, I feel like with me, they got me. I know why they got me, like, looking back now, because that's when the ratings were going down a little bit, so they had to revamp everything. They got rid of a few other judges, and they wanted someone who was young and actually doing things in the modelling world. So it's like you're basically cast to be just like the heartthrob kind of, just sit there and you don't really need to do anything, do you know what I mean? So like every time I had an opinion, I feel like I used to get shut down a little bit, or they wouldn't play it. So like there's a part of me that would get a little in that sense, because if anyone who knew what the fashion world was actually like then and there, it was me. Them lot have been in reality TV for so long, it's like, that's not what's actually going on in the fashion world. So anytime I'd try to come with a valid point, it's like no one really cared to listen. It's just like, just be quiet and sit there and try to look pretty, you know what I mean? It's like, so in that sense, they didn't really tell me to play a character, but I kind of...
But you had your role, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like my role, they only got me there to just try be a young little heartthrob, because the ratings were going down a little bit, to attract more younger generation. That's all I was basically there for. So anytime I would try to come up with something that I thought was relevant, I wouldn't really get listened to in that sense.
How was your relationship with Tyra? Was it like...
It was cool, like she was cool. Yeah, like she was cool. I feel like, even though it sounds cliche, everyone's like, you become like brother and sister and all that. It wasn't really, that's what she said, brother and sister. She put me into that category. It was more like, it's just come more of a mentor than anything. It's like that industry, like you have the fashion industry, then you have the TV and movie industry, then they, even though they're similar in a sense to where it's a circle, like if you're in, everyone kind of knows everyone. It was different to what I had known from the modeling industry. So when it come to like having auditions or trying to set myself up for this or that, I would have her and the producer, Ken Mock, his name was. They were good mentors to me. Do you know what I mean? They were. My relationship was, we just become close in a sense to where more like mentors, because I was 24 when I done that show. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I still didn't really know exactly what path I was on or where I was going. Had an idea of where I wanted to go, but I didn't really have a clue of getting there. So there's more mentors, I'd say.
Because when like you start doing that show, that's, you start getting into like the madness of celebrity, because straight away it's like they start saying that you and Tyra are dating, and how is that just like it happens straight away, or like?
Yeah, and again, looking back now, sometimes I just feel like, I don't know if this is true or not, but I just feel like a lot of it was done to make like headlines of TV. Because as soon as like I said, I went straight from the airport to the top model show, and I guess they could see that I was struggling a little bit when they were like, action, I'd never been on TV before. So after that first day, Tyra was just like, let's go out for dinner and I'll just explain like how the show works and blah, blah, blah. And she took me somewhere and like we got snapped a lot. And like looking back now, I don't know if she took me there on purpose to get snapped, to say, oh, this is Tyra's love interest, that would attract more people to watch the show. Because she's smart and like she knows what she's doing. She knows how to play a character. So me, being a dumbass, I was just thinking, I'm going out for food with Tyra, do you know what I mean? But back now, it could have been set up, it could have not, I don't know. Because she still stays in touch, like she's cool in that sense. Like she'll still wish me happy birthday every now and then, or if I do something and put it on my social media, like she'll text me every now and then. So she was cool in that sense. But it was more professional looking back. So even if I would have thought what some of the other people thought back in the day, oh, Tyra loves this guy and blah, blah, blah. Like I probably would have thought that when I was younger. But now looking back and seeing how TV works, I feel like, why would you, like you kind of know what you're doing, do you know what I mean? You're going to bring someone out to that place, you know you're going to get snapped, basically.
But did you, because when you're in LA, like it is a different place, right? It does work differently. And if you're mixing in the circles that you are, you must start to see that, like the photographers and all of that sort of, like you say, just going out for dinner with someone suddenly becomes... a big,
It's very... I don't know, it's, you know, like social media is now where it makes everything small. That's what LA was like before social media. Do you know what I mean? It's like kind of, if you're in that circle, everyone kind of starts knowing everyone. It's a place where someone will ask you what you do for a living before they ask you who you are, or what you are. You can see the fakeness of it. And I was lucky enough to where, like, as soon as I went there, it was straight on that show. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I got thrown into kind of being successful over there. So and the people I was around done more than I was doing. So like I didn't really have to experience that whole trying to come up in LA, because I could see how it's just very fake. Because it seems like it's so close to having everything, you know, the American dream. When you're there, it just seems like it's just round the corner, you can grab it. So like everyone's just trying to network. You don't know who is a real friend, who's not. But you kind of set yourself up for that as well, to where you kind of just become that person where you're also looking after number one. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like that kind of vibe with everyone, I feel. That's what I got from LA. I liked it though. It was always something.
What was the parties like?
They were crazy. The thing with LA is the nightclubs are not that good because it finishes so early. Like they finish about 1:30, 2:00. So it's like there's a lot of parties like in the hills of people's, like, you know, a lot of people that throw some crazy parties. So the parties that I was going to they were good. They were like Hollywood home parties.
What was the craziest one you went to?
I went to Madonna party after the Grammys. She had a party in the Hollywood Hills that was mad because there was a lot of other celebrities there. So it was just more like I said, some of the circles that I used to be rolling in, I was just thinking, there was always a sense of me just thinking, what am I doing here? Do you know what I mean? It was just because it happened so fast. When I think about my whole modelling career, I was only a model for like 3 years. Do you know what I mean? So it's like a lot happened, and with that TV show, it just seemed like it put everything onto. You become a celebrity, even if it was like I wasn't an A-lister or a B or a C-lister. I was like right at the back, but it was like I was still rolling into them circles. I went to a P. Diddy party as well.
Really?
Which is mad now to say that, considering how much is. But yeah, he had a party.
Hamptons one or a LA one?
LA one. It was after the Super Bowl. I got invited by a model that I knew, a girl, and she was just like, and she was calling him first name basis. She's like, let's go to Sean's party. And to be honest, when like back then, I just wouldn't really ask questions. Like, yeah, we'll roll up there, we'll do this, and it was actually a P. Diddy party.
What are they like? Are they, because obviously everyone imagines them being a lot of fun. Is everyone having as much fun as what people think, or are they?
Yeah, it's basically like being in a club, but in somebody's house, right, who has a pool, who has, you know, like if someone threw an event outside where they've got all a bar set up, they've got a DJ, they've got music, they've got people in the pool performing. It's basically a party like that, but in a Hollywood mansion house. Do you know what I mean? And you're surrounded by celebrities, I guess, if that appeals to you back then. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. Yeah, so it is fun.
What did you think and feel about it? Like, was there a point, like, if, I don't know, did a celebrity come up and they knew who you were, that you were like, this is crazy or anything like that?
Nah.
Or did you just like, what were you thinking when you go, obviously you were kind of rolling with it, but is it like...
to be honest with you, it was more like, you know, like you kind of, you're living in the moment of a sense to where it feels a bit surreal. But like I was so caught up in boxing, unless it was like Mike Tyson still over there or Roy Jones Jr.
Did you ever have a moment though? Because some of those parties you might have had like a
there was time. I was on the same table once as Kanye and Jay-Z and Beyonce, and I remember you're trying to act cool about it because you're sipping. You got them like in your circle. So there was times like that where it's like my life's a bit crazy right now. But
did they chat to you?
Yeah, but more like just like a nod of the head. It was when it was for Givenchy. Right. They would come out to the Givenchy fashion show. So you walk, then Givenchy would throw an after party, right, and they'd all be at the after party, but the models would be at their table as well. So it's like they would only talk to you because you'd be fanboying over them. It'd
right.
be more
so
like,
you're like,
yeah, you'd be like, yo, that new
music
album. Yeah. Boom. Then it was like, that's about as much as you get. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like they're having full-on conversations. I can't say I knew them. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was just sat on the table next to them.
I mean, that's still...
But it was a bit mad. Yeah. It was crazy. Because especially when you're fans of them from before. Do you know what I mean? Like Kanye, he was one of my favourite rappers. Like, so to be sat there next to him, it was It's just mad, especially when you don't expect it all. Like I said, I feel like if I would have got everything I wanted to get out of boxing, then eventually ended up in a room with some of my favorite boxers, it wouldn't feel surreal because that's what I'd been planning on doing.
Yeah.
But to like never really think about being a model, to all of a sudden you're living this kind of lifestyle where you're around all these celebrities and fashion houses and all these top models, and that's why it was surreal, because none of it was expected, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think it's like from what I'm hearing from you, there's kind of like a conflict where you're like, oh, maybe I should have drunk it more in, but at the same time, it's like it does seem a bit healthier that you didn't get caught up in that.
Because I've seen people change in that industry to where, like you said, I think it was healthy to just see it as surreal. The only problem I have with that thinking is I wish I would have planned for it a little bit more, because I was so humbled by it all the time and like feeling like, oh, this is surreal, this is crazy, to where I was just going with the flow, to where it's good to go with the flow, but it's like also just try set up like a foundation for yourself just in case everything does come crashing down. You know what I mean? You kind of, because the people that I knew, the kind of circles that I was in, I feel like I could have come up with any idea and made something work. Do you know what I mean? I'd held pads for Tyra, boxing pads. I'd held pads for Adriana Lima, the Victoria's Secret model, just chilling with them, doing a session. Do you know what I mean? A couple of little pads, to where it's like, now that I PT and do all that, like that would have been perfect just to have that on camera. Yeah. But back then I wasn't even thinking like, oh, wait there. And I never wanted to be that person either. But looking back now, little things like that, it's just like, I could have been more aware of the position that I was in. Do you know what I mean?
How was it like in terms of like, because obviously when you're traveling around, it's quite hard to stay in contact with people back home, especially like a few years back. Like these days, obviously the world is a kind of small.
It's just Facebook back then, to be honest.
Was it like, because I guess that's where you sort of catch yourself on, or like they're like, what's going on, Rob? Like, did you have anything that was like...
I lost a lot of contact with people, and to be honest with you, like when I was boxing, that's all I'd done. I woke up in the morning, I would go to the gym, train, chill, eat, train again, chill, eat, and go home and sleep. And I've done that every day. So like my life, I didn't drink, I didn't do any of that. So I didn't go out, I didn't really club, like go out to clubs and that. So all that social kind of aspect that you have when you're 18, 19, I missed out on all of that because of boxing. So like when it comes to having to keep in touch with anyone, unless it was my family or a few close friends, I didn't really have that many people to keep in touch with. I had a lot of people trying to keep in touch with me because of how my life changed, and because I wasn't getting in touch with them back, I'd get messages being like, oh, you're arrogant, you think you're this, you know, like from like it's a small town. So it's like you'd get all that, but at the same time, like I'd never spoke to them before. So I was just thinking, like, I don't need to speak to you now. You like the attention you're getting, because I got a lot of people being like, oh, well done, you've done so well for yourself. But at the same time, it was a bit overwhelming to the sense of where I wasn't really good at keeping in touch with people. Like I said, unless it was my family, I didn't really have that many people to keep in touch with. So it might have looked arrogant to some people, but at the same time, it's like I didn't really know them to keep in touch with them either.
I feel like people are kind of straight away on that vibe though. When someone's successful, they want to be like, oh, they've forgotten who they are.
Yeah. I got it all the time. You forgot where you come from, be proud of where you're from. It's like, it's not that I'm not proud of it. It's just like, what's that got to do with anything I'm doing right now? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't be shoving it in people's faces either. Yeah.
Then sometimes when I'd go back there, like get people like, oh, what are you doing back here? I thought you were too good for this place. And it's just like, shut up, man. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But you'll get that anywhere, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's universal.
You do a million things right, then as soon as you do one wrong thing, people are on you straight away. I told you this would happen, and that's because you were this or this or this. And it's like, it is what it is. You can't please everyone.
And then, when did things start to unravel a little bit in the States?
So, what happened was, I'd done everything in that I could do in modelling, I guess. Then with the TV show, when I first went to LA, the first time I ever went to LA was for a magazine shoot, a V magazine. I was there for 3 weeks. I ended up staying there, and like I said earlier, like they're called agency apartments. Yeah, so if you go to that city or that country, each agency has a model apartment that they just stick all the models in. Basically, it's like they advance you the rent money and just a base where you can stay. So like you never really know who you're staying with. And I was staying with this one kid. I was staying with him for about 3 weeks, maybe. I was there for 3 weeks or a month. And we was cool. Like there was some like back and forth because you really need to know someone before you live with them. Like we're two completely different characters, but we're cool in a sense to where, like I was going to the gym. We had the same gym membership that the agency set up, so I'd go to the gym and that with him. It's like everything was cool. Then one day, one thing I will say about Americans is they don't understand banter, right? So it's like you can have a joke with someone and they could take it serious and offensive, and that's basically how the whole thing started. Like I said something that he didn't like, he reacted in a way that I didn't like. Then we ended up fighting, and he hit me, so I hit him back. I had to leave the agency. Not the agency, sorry, the agency apartment, left that. Then I just went on about my business and he done the same. So I just thought like boys fight sometimes, you know what I mean? We didn't have a fight. He hit me, I hit him back. Then that was the end of the fight. Yeah? And so yeah, I didn't hear from him for a year. I just thought it is what it is. Like I'm saying, boys fight sometimes. We're stupid, especially at that age. Then I got on the TV show, and 5 days after it aired, he pressed charges on me. And because I used to box, they charged me for a deadly weapon. And because if you read it, it says Rob Evans hospitalized someone with a deadly weapon. The deadly weapon was my fist, and he had to go to the hospital and get butterfly stitches. Hospitalized means you stay in hospital. Yeah. So he wasn't hospitalized. He went there because it cut his nose. And yeah, so I lost all my sponsors. I had sponsors with like Nike, Dre, Beats. I had auditions, a callback audition for Fast and Furious because it was shooting here in London. They needed a British actor. Had all that, and just like that, it just disappeared because they can't have someone who's a felon basically going around beating people with deadly weapons. When it was nothing like that, looking back now. Like I'm saying, if I didn't know any different and I read it, I get why people don't want to be associated with it. But at the same time, it was in self-defense. And the thing that messed me up was I had to go to Bali to shoot the rest of the TV show. And I was going to court to deal with this situation. And I basically was told, like, you need to be back by this date. And we told them about the TV show, and they were all right. There's like, you go do your TV show in Bali, shoot the rest of the show 2 weeks, then you come back here for this day. So we're like, cool. I had to pay my lawyer, and I basically went to Bali. And when I tried getting back into America, they said you can't come back into America because you've got a felon pending. And I was like, I know, that's why I need to go to court. And because America's so big, even if all states have different laws, so even if that state want you back, if immigration say no, it means you can't go back. So I never was able to go back to America. I was never able to clear my name for anything. And the thing is, I never got charged with anything. So it's like I have all that bad press about me, but I never got charged for anything because I was never able to make it back to America. And because there was all that bad press, I lost all my sponsors. The agency didn't want to know anymore. The lawyer that I had paid, he just kind of disappeared because he knew I couldn't get back. Took all the money that I made from the TV show. I had to sign a contract saying it goes to the lawyer. So like I ended up filming the rest of the show. The lawyer got my money, never got me back to America. So basically just took the money and didn't do anything. And because it was reality TV, that kind of put a stop to the whole modeling thing. So when that didn't work out and I come back to London, like, and especially European agencies, they want everyone a little bit slimmer. It's more like high fashion here than it is in America, where it's more commercial modeling. So it's like everything that I could get away with in America, being a bit bigger, being a boxer, the English accent, here no one cared about that, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it was literally like overnight, things just went sideways. Went from having all this success to I had to go back and live with my mom, do you know what I mean, for maybe about a year. Because just like they took everything and I couldn't work again. And because of the agent, and I couldn't get a normal job either. Like I wanted to, but the agency were just like, you can't go from that to that. Like you'll rebuild, you'll come back, you'll do this, and just nothing ever happened, I guess.
Just so I know, like, so they didn't want you, like, I don't know, working in a bar or working in a, like, office or whatever, because then if people know that, then they're going to be thinking you're not there, even if you're not.
Yeah, because it was almost like you still have to keep up. You're Rob Evans, you're this, like gassing me basically, like making me believe in like something as well. So it's like, you just done this show, you've just been sat next to Tyra doing this, like basically all the fake, like you've done this and you're a celebrity. You can't just go back to like working in a bar or doing PT and all that. And it's like, I listened to the agency for about 2 years until in the end I just had to take control of myself, do you know what I mean? And done my PT thing.
You're still going to events and all of this stuff during that time, but you're just not booking.
Yeah,
gigs.
so they're sat there, and it was weird. It's like I'd still get invited to like when they'd have the Brit Awards, like when they'd have fashion shows. So instead of them having me in the show, they'd have me as part of the audience. Do you know what I mean? Sit in front row at a show, and it all looks good and it's good for your image, but like I didn't make any money from it. Like nothing ever come from it. It's like I couldn't do anything else other. Because of the reality TV show, like I'm saying, when it come to modelling, that was kind of gone. And I didn't realise it was going to do that at the time, to be honest. So I couldn't really do anything in modelling anymore. And because of the reality TV show, it's like I'd get booked as like, do you know what I mean, a B-class celebrity, maybe. So go sit at a show or show up to an event. I'd just be about, but you're not actually doing anything.
Did they try and get you into reality TV here as well?
Yeah, Love Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they tried to get me into I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here as well. Maybe the first 2 years that I was back.
Yeah.
Done the interview, everything for it. Everything seemed like it was a go-ahead. Because that's a show that I would have done. Everything seemed like it was a go-ahead. Then maybe like 5 weeks before they pulled it because of everything that happened in America.
Really?
Yeah, they thought it would mess up my passport and visa to go to Australia. Yeah, so it's just like,
It must be so frustrating because
because it's like obviously I'd done something wrong, and looking back now, it's like I had to make the lesson to learn from it. Like I wouldn't have threw my weight about, but it was self-defense. He hit me, I hit him back. I just got in with a better shot, I guess. You know what I mean? But it's like it wasn't beating someone up. It wasn't a proper fight. It was two people arguing over something stupid, banter, literally. And so like I was losing everything. Like I said, the Dre Beats, they pulled out. I had a deal with Nike to go into any Nike store with a card, and you can get anything you want to be a face of a Nike brand.
Wait, so this is like a Nike, like black card?
Yeah,
or
you get a black card, and you can go there and basically, because you're sponsored by them, you can get whatever you want. And I never got to use the card. Do you know what I mean? I never got to use it. They pulled it right before. They promised me all these things. I went to Bali and never got back to America to pick everything up. We just got dropped from everything overnight as soon as he pressed charges on me. But yeah, it was frustrating because everything come back to that. Do you know what I mean? Everyone Googles everyone these days. So it's just like as soon as you Google me, it just sounds like...
Well, in the UK, we can't report on that. Like until someone's charged, you can't go into like... Well, we wouldn't even be able to do the level of detail that they did. So it's like you're caught even more with just where you are and then not being able to get back and just like clear up the nonsense as well. Man.
If I could have got back to America, none of this would have happened. Well, there'd still be bad press, I guess, but I could have cleared my name because I never would have got charged for anything. It was all going like self-defense anyway. And at the time, the amount of money that I had to pay the lawyer, I had to pay him everything I made from the TV show, basically. So like I had good representation, I thought. So everything would have been all right if I would have got back to America. It's just I never got back. And that was 10 years ago.
Did you not have anyone being like, they're going to try and spin the story back in your favour, like your publicist or anything?
Yeah, but they were saying, my lawyers were saying to be quiet until you actually clear your name. Because it's like, you don't want to say anything to incriminate yourself. You don't want to slip up. You don't want to... Because in my head, I felt like just messaging him, being like, what are you doing, man? Like, there's no need for all this. If anything, Like, what do you want from me? I'll try, let's work it out somewhere or another. Because I never thought he was like this. I spent a month with him and we was cool. Then a year went past, nothing happened. Then all of a sudden, it was almost like it was him and people around him being like, he's on TV now, like suing for as much as you can. But like nothing actually happened bad to the point where like everything I lost from it. Do you know what I mean? It was like...
Well, then the dangerous weapon thing, because that is, because you're a boxer, your fists are cast as...
deadly weapons, registered weapons, basically. But I'd done a bit of amateur boxing. Like if you play a bit of amateur football in America, it doesn't make you a professional football player. So you're not going to get charged the same as a professional athlete. But because of the whole modelling thing and they're bigging me up, boxer turned model, boxer. As soon as the court saw that and the fact that I hit someone by being a boxer, it's like, it's a story in itself, do you know what I mean? And it was weird to see the change, like some of the blog spaces that were writing about me, being like, Rob's the new this, Rob's this. And now the people being like, felon, blah, blah, beating people. And I was just like, everything that you hear about how the media can switch and how people can switch and turn, I saw it on both sides, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was a hard like pill to swallow, man, because like I said, I went from here to just dropping down to even worse off than I was before I even started modelling. Like, I felt like boxing was kind of over, even though I was still young, but because I hadn't done it for so long, I felt like I've left it too late to get back into it the way I wanted to. I never wanted to compete unless I was competing at a certain level, so I was just thinking, leave that alone. Like, modelling is over now. Like, I was from humble beginnings, you know what I mean? So with the boxing, I always saw that as a way to get myself and my family out of there. Then when modelling come along, the reason why it's so easy to just like switch over is because I also saw that as a way out to get me out of there, to one day help my family get them out of there. So having to go live back at my mum's house, losing everything, that guilt like got to me hard for years, you know what I mean? So that's why I come back to London. Like, I was only there for about a year and I was just thinking, I need to get out of here and just get back on. There's no like, it was hard not to sit and cry about it, do you know what I mean? And feel sorry for yourself, but like, there's only so much you can do. Like, you waste a lot of time doing that.
What happened with the Love Island one then? Was that didn't pan out?
No, I went for the interview. I just think, I don't know, I think I was too nice to get on there, do you know what I mean? Because I remember doing the interview for them. And I feel like, you know, when you see some of the characters on there, I guess I just wasn't coming across the way they wanted you to. Because they were asking me some crazy questions like, how often do you pull when you go out? How many girls do you sleep with in a week? How much of this, or this, or this? And me, I was being humble about everything, being like, oh, well, it's not like... And I just feel like I just give them the wrong impression for someone who should be on Love Island. Which is probably good, because... that's not really a show I wanted to do.
To go down,
And in my head, I still had it that something big was going to happen. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I can pull this back. I was listening to the agency being like, we're going to make this happen for you one day, Robert. This is going to happen. Or it's all part of the story. Watch the comeback. So I was just thinking, I don't really want to be doing Love Island and get typecast like that. But... looking back now, I should have just jumped on it and done it, but it is what it is. But,
but if you're being yourself and then it's not right, then maybe it's not the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to... They just wanted that proper lad culture to where, like I said, all that socialisation and all that, I kind of missed out on that when I was boxing. I was a bit boring for them, I think.
But now, like, I mean, because it is the comeback now, because now it's like you're getting to go back to your first, or the thing that you loved the whole time.
Yeah, I'm back to boxing. I'm fighting on the 15th of June. So in 3 weeks, like I said, it's for a WBU international heavyweight title. So yeah, I feel like it's like riding a bike a little bit. Obviously, your timing slows down, your fitness, your reactions might not be the exact same. But as far as learning how to fight, the thing I loved about boxing the most is like, if you know the basics and you're conditioned, it's more about what you got up here. So I just feel like my head's in a completely different place now. I've let go of all that, do you know what I mean? It did take years to like kind of get over it. I didn't realise how much it affected me when I was actually living in it. But now like a lot of goods come out of it, do you know what I mean? I learned a lot about people who's supposed to be there, who was really there. I also learned that like, you can't blame anyone either, do you know what I mean? I went through a stage of blaming the agency, blaming that kid, couldn't believe what he'd done. When I went back home, I was thinking I was in a bad place, but people were just like kind of kicking me while I was down a little bit. Do you know what I mean? I was blamed them, but then I realized like no one needs to be there for you anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone's got their own things going on, to where I shouldn't have threw my weight about it at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? To where it took me a while, but once you accept it, I just feel like my head's in a completely different place now, to where I can speak about it openly and not really feel any way about it. I had fun while it lasted. But yeah, back to doing what I love doing, which is boxing.
And I guess also like the time that now you're coming back into boxing, there's an opportunity for people like yourself that like, you've got a social following, like you've got a presence, and it's like, that actually means that you can step into the ring with people, because it's like the game's kind of changed, right?
Yeah, like boxing's always been about like, again, everything just seems to be about money and how much tickets you can sell. So like, if you can put bums in seats, it's called, then like, and you're marketable, then you can be a boxer basically. So all these influencers, even though a lot of people has a lot to say about them, it's like, if a fight's a fight, people love to see a fight. It doesn't matter if they're mad skillful or not. People want to see them have a fight. And they've done something which other boxers should have done in the past. It's like you build up a following, then you get that following to buy tickets and you have a fight. Where the reason why some boxers are mad, and I get it, is because they've been working from a young age. And because they don't have the following, they're struggling to sell tickets. Like I said, I need to make something positive out of some of the negative that's happened. And like you said, I've got a bit of a following. I still know how to box, so now there's a platform for me to do that. So why not take advantage of it?
Yeah.
That's if, like I said, if any of them will fight me. Chase the more temper arts. I know for a fact they won't, but like I'm saying, I'm there if they do want it.
Do you think you're too much of a boxer for them?
I think, yeah. And I get it. Like, I wouldn't want to fight me either, but it's just like, they need a challenge. Do you know what I mean? And they need someone who's got a following and is going to bring eyes to the sport, and I'm that person. If they want to challenge themselves, because the person that I'm calling out, the Temple Arts, he's the heavyweight champion of Misfits. That Chase the Moore, he's bigger than I am. He's an ex-NFL player, and he talks a good one. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm begging for a fight. I'm saying I'm there if they want it. If they really want to challenge themselves, then jump in with someone who hasn't boxed for 13 years. And when I was boxing, even though I was a good boxer, I was only a boxer for 3 years. I forgot more than I actually know about boxing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm there if they want it. It is what it is.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Man, thank you for having me, man. It's been I got a lot off my chest that I didn't even realise I had in, so I appreciate it.
No, look, I think that you give a great insight into some worlds that people see from a distance, but like you've been on the inside of it. And to be fair, like I think you've kept your head the whole time, because there's so many points like when like people would have looked up at their picture in Times Square, or when they're at Madonna's party or whatever it is, that they might have lost themselves. So like, it's mad, but like at least like you kept that the whole time. I think that's something, man.
I appreciate that, man.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it, mate.
Thank you.
That was On The Edge. Big thanks to Rob Evans. Remember to like, comment and subscribe.